Picture this. Someone walks into your life, and within days, you feel like you've known them forever. They say exactly what you need to hear. They make you feel special in ways no one else has, and their confidence is magnetic. You're drawn in completely. But here's the unsettling truth. This might not be genuine connection. It could be calculated manipulation. And if you're wondering how someone could fake that level of charm so convincingly, you're about to find out. If this sounds familiar, or you want to protect yourself from these psychological tactics, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because understanding these patterns might just save you from a devastating situation. Charm is one of the most powerful social tools in existence. When used authentically, it builds bridges, creates trust, and forms genuine human connections. But in the wrong hands, charm becomes a weapon, a precision instrument designed to disarm, manipulate, and control. Sociopaths, individuals with antisocial personality disorder who lack empathy and conscience, are masters of weaponized charm. They study people the way a chess player studies the board, identifying vulnerabilities and exploiting them with surgical precision. The scariest part, you won't see it coming. Sociopathic charm doesn't announce itself with obvious red flags. Instead, it wraps itself in warmth, compliments, and seemingly genuine interest. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 3 specific tactics sociopaths use to charm their way into your life and take control. Understanding these methods isn't about becoming paranoid. It's about becoming informed. So let's dive into the dark psychology of charm manipulation. The chameleon effect. The first tactic sociopaths employ is what psychologists call mirroring, but they take it to an extreme level that goes far beyond normal social rapport building. Within the first few conversations, a sociopath is gathering intelligence. They're listening, not to connect, but to collect data. What are your values? What do you love? What's missing in your life? What do you desperately need? Then comes the transformation. Suddenly, this person shares your exact interests. You love hiking? They've always been passionate about the outdoors. You value honesty above all else. They've been burned by liars too many times, and now it's their core principle. You're spiritual. They've been on their own journey of enlightenment. The coincidences pile up until you start believing you've found your soulmate, your perfect business partner, or your most loyal friend. Why this works so effectively? This tactic exploits a fundamental human desire, the need to be understood and accepted. When someone reflects our own values, interests, and experiences back at us, our brains light up with pleasure. We feel validated. We feel seen. Neuroscience research shows that when we encounter people similar to us, our brain's reward centers activate, releasing dopamine and creating feelings of pleasure and connection. Sociopaths understand this intuitively. They become human mirrors, showing you a reflection of your ideal companion. But here's the crucial difference between genuine compatibility and manipulation. Authentic people have their own consistent identity, complete with quirks, disagreements, and boundaries. A sociopath's personality is suspiciously flexible, adapting perfectly to whatever you need them to be. Real-world example. Consider Sarah, who met Marcus at a professional networking event. Within 3 conversations, Marcus seemed perfect. He shared her passion for social entrepreneurship, had overcome similar childhood challenges, even loved the same obscure indie bands she did. 6 months into their business partnership, she discovered Marcus had fabricated nearly everything. He had no real interest in social impact. His childhood story was borrowed from someone else, and he couldn't name a single song from those bands. He had simply crafted a persona designed to earn her trust and gain access to her network and resources. The warning signs: watch for extreme compatibility that develops too quickly. Genuine connections involve discovering differences as well as similarities. Be suspicious if someone has no strong opinions of their own or constantly defers to your preferences. Real people have their own taste in music, their own political views, their own morning routines that they won't easily abandon. Sociopaths are shapeshifters, too perfect, too accommodating, too similar to be real. The overwhelming rush. The second tactic is what relationship experts call love bombing, but it extends beyond romantic relationships into friendships, business partnerships, and family dynamics. This is the phase where the sociopath doesn't just show interest, they become obsessed with you. The attention is intoxicating. They text you constantly. They remember every detail you mention. They shower you with compliments, gifts, and grand gestures. They want to spend all their time with you. They tell you you're special, different from everyone else they've ever met. This intensity creates a psychological effect called intermittent reinforcement, in reverse. Instead of withholding affection randomly, they flood you with it consistently at first, creating a powerful addiction. Your brain gets used to this constant validation and attention. You start to crave it. You start to need it. And that's exactly when they have you. The psychology behind the tactic. This approach works because it bypasses your rational defenses. When someone invests heavily in you immediately, your brain interprets this as evidence of genuine care. After all, why would someone put in so much effort if they didn't truly value you? The answer: because they're playing a long game, and the investment will pay off many times over once they have control. The intensity also creates isolation. When someone wants all your time and attention, you naturally spend less time with other friends, family, and support networks. This isn't accidental. Sociopaths understand that isolated targets are easier to manipulate. Your usual support system, the people who might notice something's off, gradually fades into the background while this new, intensely charming person takes center stage in your life. The inevitable shift. Here's where the tactic reveals itself. The intensity never lasts. Once the sociopath has secured your emotional investment, the love bombing stops. Sometimes it's gradual, sometimes it's sudden, but the change is always devastating. The person who couldn't get enough of you suddenly becomes distant, critical, or disappears entirely. When you react with confusion or hurt, they may return briefly with renewed intensity, creating a cycle of highs and lows that keeps you off balance and desperate to return to that initial euphoric phase. Recognizing the red flags healthy relationships, romantic or otherwise, build gradually. There's excitement, yes, but also natural pacing. You maintain your own separate lives, interests, and friendships, even as you grow closer. Someone who wants to consume all your time and energy immediately is sending a warning signal. Someone who declares you're the one or their best friend ever after a few weeks is moving too fast. Someone who makes you feel like you're the center of their universe from day one is likely creating an illusion, not a genuine connection. Trust is earned over time through consistent behavior, not instant declarations of devotion. Real charm is patient. Manipulative charm is urgent. The false opening. The third tactic is perhaps the most insidious because it feels like genuine emotional intimacy, strategic vulnerability. Early in the relationship, the sociopath shares something deeply personal, a traumatic childhood experience, a painful betrayal, a shameful secret. This revelation seems like an act of trust, a sign that they feel safe with you. Your natural response is to feel honored, to reciprocate with your own vulnerabilities, and to want to protect and support this person who has opened up to you. But this vulnerability is calculated, not authentic. Sociopaths share these stories not because they need support, but because vulnerability creates powerful social bonds. When someone shares their pain with us, we feel closer to them. We feel trusted. We feel needed. And most importantly, for the sociopath's purposes, we feel obligated. The manipulation mechanism. This tactic works on multiple levels simultaneously. First, it positions the sociopath as someone who has suffered, which triggers your compassion and makes you less likely to suspect them of harmful intentions. Victims don't hurt others, right? Wrong. But our brains want to believe this. Second, their vulnerability encourages you to open up about your own fears, traumas, and insecurities, giving them a roadmap of your psychological weak points they can exploit later. Third, it creates a sense of special connection. They've chosen you to confide in. You know things about them that others don't. This false intimacy bonds you to them and makes you invested in their well-being and success. You become their defender, their supporter, their advocate, even when evidence later suggests you shouldn't be. The contrast with genuine vulnerability. Here's how to tell the difference. Authentic vulnerability is uncomfortable for the person sharing. There's hesitation, embarrassment, genuine emotion. It happens gradually as trust builds. The person sharing is actually seeking support or connection, not just performing emotional intimacy. Strategic vulnerability from a sociopath, by contrast, often feels polished. The story is compelling, the timing is perfect, and the emotion, while seemingly real, doesn't quite add up. They might cry, but the tears don't match the content. They share trauma, but seem oddly detached from it. Or they reveal something significant way too early in the relationship, before actual trust has been established. The long-term impact. Once you've bonded over shared vulnerability, the sociopath has leverage. They know your fears, your guilt, your shame. And they'll use it, not immediately, but eventually. When you try to set boundaries, they'll remind you of what they shared and how you promised to understand. When you question their behavior, they'll weaponize your own insecurities that you revealed during those intimate conversations. The vulnerability that seemed like connection becomes a tool for control. Protection through awareness. Understanding these three tactics, mirroring, love bombing, and strategic vulnerability, is your first line of defense against sociopathic charm. Knowledge is power, and now you can recognize these patterns before you're too deeply entangled. But awareness alone isn't enough. You need to trust your instincts. If something feels too good to be true, it probably is. If someone seems too perfect, too attentive, too understanding, pause and examine the situation objectively. Talk to trusted friends and family about this new person in your life. Sociopaths isolate their targets because outside perspectives can spot the manipulation you're too close to see. Healthy relationships. Take time. Remember that genuine connection, whether friendship, romance, or partnership, takes time to develop. Real charm is consistent over months and years, not just weeks. Real people have flaws, boundaries, and lives outside of their relationship with you. Real vulnerability is messy and mutual, not strategic and one-sided. Final thoughts. The goal here isn't to make you suspicious of everyone who's kind or everyone who shows interest in your life. Authentic, wonderful people exist, and they deserve your openness and trust. But that trust should be earned gradually through consistent, authentic behavior, not granted immediately because someone has charmed their way past your defenses. Protect yourself by staying aware, trusting your intuition, maintaining your outside relationships, and never rushing into deep emotional, financial, or professional commitments with someone you've just met, no matter how special they make you feel. Your psychological safety is worth protecting. If this video opened your eyes to manipulation tactics you've experienced or helped you understand concerning relationships in your life, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And remember, real charm enhances your life without controlling it. Anything else is manipulation disguised as connection.